It's the Prague Olympiad 1931 and a really top clash between the Lithuanian team and the USA team. Mikėnas against Kashtan, excuse the pronunciation. They've reached this fascinating position out of the Queen's Gambit. Mikėnas saw his chance and played bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, and now we can see that this pawn here, let me see. I need some colour on that one. Let's get some colour. I still can't get any colour. Why am I not getting any colour, Mr. Cameraman?
Is it right click? You do?
Oh, right click. Now I'm getting colour. Thank you very much, Mr. Cameraman. Fantastic. So we now have this pawn, the cover of this pawn. The knight has disappeared, so this pawn here is a little bit vulnerable. This pawn here a little bit vulnerable. Mikėnas seized his chance and played bishop takes pawn check. He's in. King takes the bishop. Queen comes to h5 check. Has no choice but to go back to the back rank. And queen takes pawn check. And here, the players agreed a draw. Clearly, both thought the logical conclusion to this game was to play queen h5 check. Whoops, not that move. We'll see that in a second. Queen h5 check. The king goes back. Check. And we have a draw by perpetual check. However, if we just go back a little bit, 15 years earlier, so it's a curious coincidence, but 15 years earlier, this exact same position was reached in a game in New York, 1916. Good old chess base, mega base, we love it. And here, David Janowski, a really brilliant attacking player, found the right way to go for white. This is winning. Knight d7. It's a killing move. Now, I'm sure that Mikėnas would have seen this move, but perhaps he didn't see the follow-up. Black has to capture this knight. The knight is attacking the queen and the bishop, and this one here, so it must be exchanged off. So knight takes knight. Rook takes knight. Now, of course, the rook is attacking the bishop, so the bishop must move. There's also a threat of the queen here takes the bishop. I'm sure Mikėnas saw this, but imagine that after bishop c6, he had no way to continue the attack. But here, Janowski found an absolutely brilliant move. Knight e4, fantastic. After this, black is completely bust. But in some ways, it's not surprising actually, because the queen is so far from the defence of the king, which, yeah, finds itself pretty bare. Now there are obviously lots of captures in this position. First of all, let's deal with bishop takes knight. Well, that loses simply to queen takes bishop. Mate is threatened on g7, and when the rook comes to defend the pawn, then we have queen h4 check, and we pick up the bishop on e4 with mate following shortly after. Let's just go back to that position after knight e4, this great move. Of course, the rook can be taken. Bishop takes d7, but now a very simple checkmate. We have knight takes bishop check, the king moves somewhere on the h file, doesn't matter where, and then queen h5 is checkmate. Okay, let's go back to the position after knight e4. So, the threat is knight takes bishop. So Janowski's opponent moved the bishop away, took a pawn at the same time. And here, Janowski found a brilliant way to break through. Knight g5 check. The king must, of course, come up the board. King h8, then the queen goes to h5, and it's going to be mate. King h6. Here, this is wonderful. I mean, you might like to just pause, switch off. I hope you're not looking at the game moves. Have a think. How can white move in for the kill in this position. Fact, this is a very common theme, as we'll see. Once you've tempted the king up the board outside the pawn barricade, then you'll see it's a really common idea. Have you got it yet? Pawn to g4. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Looks funny to move a pawn up in front of the king, but of course the white king here is completely safe. The threat, of course, is queen h5 mate. And if king takes g5, let's just have a look at that, then queen check and rook mate. Very nice. So in this position, black's next move is forced. g6. And now white can checkmate, actually, by just playing queen h7 check. And this is a rather nice variation. The king is just lured up the board, and then with the queen and rook, it's terribly easy to find a checkmate. There we go. Queen f4. Very visual indeed. Okay, in fact, he didn't do that. He checkmated in an even quicker way. Let's just go back to the right position. He played h4. Really beautiful. Obviously, the threat is queen to h7 mate. Black played rook h8, but the queen went in anyway. Queen h7 check. Takes and mate. Fantastic. In this DVD, I'm going to be examining these typical mating patterns. This isn't really about how to build up an attack, but it's how to recognize these typical patterns that we see, for example, in this game.